Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, yesterday, of course, talked a bit about the Vulture, kind of forwarded some of my own ideas. That's, of course, my own opinion on a lot of these things. Different people have different points of view and different ideas. But that's kind of where my head is at on that ship. Now, another one of the ships that was in that competition that did not win, sadly. I mean, they were all Drake ships, and so I kind of want them all to win. You know what I mean? I saw that one comment in particular. There needs to be more Drake ships. I agree, 100%. Not that I'm biased or anything, but yeah. But when it comes to the Corsair, specifically the Corsair, in a way, I'm kind of glad that it didn't win this time. And the reason for that is they talked about all four ships, right? They talked about the Vulture, they talked about the Kraken, which is of course the escort carrier. They talked about the Starlifter, and they talked about the Corsair. Now, any one of those four ships could have won. I think a lot of people probably went in there thinking Scout Carrier, hands down. Didn't turn out that way. Honestly, I believe, like, my personal opinion is all four of those ships are going to get built. And, I expressed that, when that happened, a lot of people were getting really angry that the Vulture was winning. They're like, no, Scout Carrier, Scout Carrier. And I said, don't worry about it. Chances are they're going to build all four, because they wouldn't have presented all four ideas if they weren't willing to build each and every one of them, or at least the one that won. So those four ideas were all things that CIG was willing to do, so they're probably things that we're going to see in the future. But I'm kind of glad that the Corsair didn't win this time. And the reason for that is I want to see what the Hammerhead does first. The Hammerhead, of course, is the intermediate military vessel, the immediate sub-capital, if you will. It's kind of the stepping stone from ships the size of the Constellation to your full-on capital ship, starting with presumably I was about to say the Prometheus, the Polaris. It's kind of that ship in the middle, and this is a ship that very much is going to be protecting a lot of the fleets that the Corsair might be looking to visit in a very friendly manner and possibly engage in an exchange of goods. So I would really like to see the Hammerhead come into the game first, know what the Hammerhead's about, kind of get a feel for the performance envelope of that ship, and then I would build out the Corsair, or I would suggest building out the Corsair not as a ship that directly challenges the Hammerhead, not just, Hammerhead 2.0 or the Drake version of the Hammerhead. Something smaller, something faster, kind of going back to that kind of 3-turret idea that they were originally mentioning. Not something that directly challenges it, but something that, poses a difficulty to it. Something that is strong in a place where the Hammerhead is weak. Something that's faster than the Hammerhead. But I want to get a better feel for how the turrets are going to perform on the Hammerhead specifically before I would really kind of formulate an idea. If I was a developer and CIG was saying, hey, what are your ideas for the Drake Corsair? Like, give us an outline of what you think the Corsair should be. I would say not until I've seen the Hammerhead fly. I really think that building this ship out, or even seeing it before we've seen the Hammerhead fly, would be a little bit premature, because in those lower tiers of ships where a lot of your pirate ships reside, your Buccaneers, your Caterpillar, your Cutlass, all of them, the Hammerhead is really going to be the ship to beat, hands down. It is going to be that ship. And it is probably going to be one of the ships that pirates are going to have to contend with the most. So I think that the Corsair should be a response to that ship. The Corsair should be something that, isn't like a one-for-one better ship than the Hammerhead is, but something that in the right hands with the right tactics could present a real headache for the Hammerhead. When I look at the pirate ships that are available now, like if you look at the Buccaneers and the Cutlasses, specifically, those ships, I don't think that when it comes to, say, a Polaris, an Idris, or a Javelin, that they have a lot to worry about, because they have that speed advantage. They have that maneuverability advantage. Yeah, you know what? A Javelin, an Idris, a Polaris, they can keep those ships out of a certain space. They can kind of push them away. But in the end, it'll be up to the Buccaneer or the Cutlass whether an engagement occurs at all. Like, those ships are simply going to be faster than any of those ships. So in the end, they can always just keep their distance and say, nope, let's escape and we'll fight another day. It's not worth it. Whereas with the Hammerhead is probably something that can go along with smaller fleets, and it would represent a direct challenge to those ships. So I would want the Corsair to be something of a challenge to the Hammerhead. Not something that one for one, just hands down, just trumps the Hammerhead, but something that represents a problem, represents a complication that the Hammerhead doesn't have an immediate solution to, because it's so geared towards fighting those smaller ships that maybe against something a little bit more substantial. Maybe something along the lines of Connie sized, but with the 3 turrets, but maybe something that's completely covered with these disposable armor panels that really absorb a lot of punishment. Or maybe it's something that's stealthier and that uses a lot of electronic warfare type weapons or energy distortion type weapons that can really mess up something like a Hammerhead. But until we know what the Hammerhead can do, I would definitely be like, if I was the developer who was in charge of that, I would be like, I'm going to keep this ship in my pocket until I know what the Hammerhead can do, and then design this to be the response to the Hammerhead. If I was pressed, however, like if someone said, what should the Corsair be immediately today? It's happening today. What do you think the Corsair should be? I would basically go off of the old maxim of outrun anything that you can't outgun everything that you can't outrun. And that would be the definition of it. That would be the basis for what I would look at. In the end, I think that speed is your ultimate advantage. Speed is always going to be the ultimate advantage, because you may not be able to win every fight. And so many times people, when they talk about ships, they're like, oh, 1v1, this ship versus that ship. Well, what happens when one ship decides, oh, I'm not even going to give them a fight, I'm just going to book it, I'm going to get out of there? Sometimes the best victory that you can walk away with is denying your enemy the chance to kill you. And a lot of people kind of forget that, and they kind of go, this ship versus that ship. Well, if this ship's faster, it can just get away, so it doesn't have to worry about it. In general, though, in the end, I think that for the people out there who want the Corsair, and I know there's quite a few out there who want this ship, who are looking for this ship, and who see the ship as that natural stepping stone, maybe up to a Hammerhead or something like that, I would say bide your time right now. I know there's a lot of people out there and they're saying things on the forums and they're making suggestions. Bide your time. Wait. And once we see what the Hammerhead can do, then start putting ideas forward. Then start going, don't try to make like, oh, well, this thing's going to one-shot the Hammerhead. Because an idea like that is never going to fly. But wait until we know what the Hammerhead is capable of, and then design something that kind of confounds that ship, that creates a difficulty for that ship. Maybe not something that goes, at it, head on, one-on-one, but maybe if you got 3 or 4 of them, then all of a sudden you become a real problem for the Hammerhead drivers out there. That's what I would suggest. Hold off, pull back, wait and see what CIG does with the Hammerhead and how far they take it and how it works out, and then bring in the Corsair, and then start putting out the real ideas for what the Corsair should be and what it should be capable of. So, my piratical brethren, let's chill out, let's bide our time, and wait till September-ish, and then revisit this topic and hopefully shape a productive discussion at a later date. I think the Corsair, if it does happen, is a unique opportunity, and we should probably just chill for a little bit and wait and see what develops. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.